Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard. I'm your host, Mehmet Fatih Akser. Today, I want to talk about something that I believe separates good coaches from truly transformational leaders. It is something that isn't measured on a scoreboard, doesn't appear in a box score, and can't be captured in a highlight reel. Yet, it determines whether success lasts for a season or for generations. The title of today's episode is The Program Before the Championship. Let me begin with a question. When you picture a championship team, what comes to mind? Maybe it is the players cutting down the nets, the championship trophy being raised into the air. Maybe the celebration in the locker room, the confetti falling from the ceiling. Maybe the smiles, the hugs, and the photographs that will hang on walls for decades. Well, those are the moments everyone remembers for sure. But very few people ever stop to ask what happened before that moment, before the championship game. There were thousands of practices. Before those practices, there were years of recruiting. Before recruiting, there was a vision. And before the vision became reality, someone made the decision to build something bigger than themselves. Championships are highly visible. Programs are almost invisible. A championship lasts one night. A great program lasts long after the banners fade and the trophies collect dust. That's why I believe every coach should stop asking one question and begin asking another. Instead of asking, how do we win? I want you to start asking, what are we building? Those are not the same question, guys. Winning is an outcome. Building is a mission. There are coaches who inherit talented players, enjoy two successful seasons. They may win some conference championships, end up good at the nationals, and disappear just as quickly as they arrived. Then there are coaches whose influence remains 20 years after they retire. Former players still return. Assistant coaches carry their philosophy into their own programs. Parents recommend the program to other families. Alumni continue supporting the team. The culture survives because it was never dependent on one player, or one assistant coach, or even one head coach. That's a program. And every championship worthy of remembering is built upon one. One of the biggest mistakes young coaches make is believing that their program begins with recruiting talented athletes. No, it doesn't. Your program begins the day you accept the position, long before your first practice, long before your first game, or long before your first victory. The moment people hear your name associated with a school, they begin forming opinions about your leadership. Athletic directors are watching, teachers are watching, parents are watching, officials are watching, other coaches are watching, future recruits are watching, even people who have never attended one of your games are paying attention to the way you represent yourself and your institution. Whether you realize it or not, the program is already speaking. The question is whether it is saying what you want it to say. That's why vision comes before talent. Every successful program I have admired over the years has had one thing in common. Before they recruited exceptional players, they established a very clear identity. They knew exactly who they were, what they believed, and what they refused to compromise. Too many coaches spend hours designing offenses and defensive systems before they have ever defined the purpose of their program. Well, systems can change. Personnel changes every year. Strategies evolve, but identity should remain constant. If I ask your players to describe your program in one sentence, Would they all give me the same answer? If I ask your assistant coaches why your program exists beyond winning basketball games, could they answer confidently? How about if I ask your alumni what made your program different? Would they describe championships or would they describe people? These are difficult questions because they force us to think beyond wins and losses. Every program should have a vision that can survive graduation. Every decision should pass through one simple filter. Does this move us closer to who we say we are? If the answer is no, then it doesn't matter how talented the player is, how impressive the opportunity appears, or how convenient the decision might seem. Vision protects culture, and culture protects the future of your program. But here is where I think many coaches unintentionally limit themselves. They believe they are building a basketball team. I'm going to have to disagree with that. You're building an ecosystem. Basketball is simply one part of it. Think about everyone connected to your program, your assistant coaches, your strength and conditioning staff, athletic therapists, team managers, student volunteers, stats, equipment staff, custodians, faculty members, academic advisors, admission staff, parents, alumni, donors, and community partners, and youth coaches, and campus secretary, the athletic department, the university administration, local media, future recruits, fans. None of these people score points during a game, yet every one of them contributes to whether your program grows or slowly disappears. Championship coaches understand something that many others overlook. They don't build teams, they build communities because communities survive turnover. Communities survive graduation. Communities survive losing seasons, and communities survive coaching changes. A community continues believing because its identity was never dependent on temporary success. That realization changes how you lead. And suddenly, the student manager rebounding after practice becomes just as valuable as the leading scorer. The athletic therapist keeping players healthy becomes part of your culture. The volunteer helping organize a youth camp becomes part of your mission. The professor encouraging one of your student athletes through a difficult semester becomes part of your success story. Every person matters because every person contributes to the environment you are creating. Research on sustained success in high performance sport consistently emphasizes that elite programs are built on leadership, relationships, emotional intelligence, shared values, and daily cultural habits. Not simply technical expertise or tactical knowledge. Great organizations invest as much in people as they do in performance because they understand that culture ultimately drives results. Culture isn't created by motivational speeches, though, don't get me wrong. It isn't written on locker room walls. It isn't found inside mission statements. Culture is created every single day through ordinary moments. How you greet people, how your players treat the equipment manager, how assistant coaches speak to officials, how you respond after a difficult loss, how veterans welcome freshmen, how everyone treats the custodian cleaning the gym after practice. Culture is never built during extraordinary moments. It is built during ordinary ones. And those ordinary moments eventually become extraordinary results. As coaches, we often spend countless hours searching for the next drill, the next offensive concept, or the next defensive adjustment that might help us win another game. Those things matter. But before any championship is ever won, before any banner is ever raised, Before any recruit signs a letter of intent, you must first build something worth belonging to. Because people don't dedicate themselves to trophies, they dedicate themselves to purpose. And purpose is where every great program begins. So far, we talked about vision, identity, and the importance of building an ecosystem instead of simply coaching a basketball team. Now, I want to take that idea even further because I believe this is where truly exceptional programs separate themselves from everyone else. Let me say something that may surprise you here. Your greatest recruiters should not be your coaching staff, they should be your players. Now, think about that for a moment. If someone asks one of your current players, would you recommend this program to your younger brother, your younger sister, your best friend? How would they answer? Not because they are afraid of disappointing you, not because they are expected to, but because they genuinely believe this program changed their life. That is the kind of recruiting no scholarship offer can compete with. Too many coaches think recruiting begins with phone calls, campus visits, highlight videos, and scholarship discussions. I believe recruiting begins much earlier than that. Recruiting begins with reputation. Before a recruit ever walks into your gym, they have already heard stories about your program. They have spoken with former players, they have talked to high school coaches, their parents have asked questions, they have looked at your social media, they have watched how your players behave after games, they have noticed whether your team respects officials, shakes hands with opponents, celebrates together after victories, and handles defeat with dignity. Long before you speak to a recruit, your program has already introduced itself. Every interaction either strengthens your reputation or quietly weakens it. That's why I often tell coaches that every day is recruiting day. Not because you're always looking for players, because you're always building trust. And trust travels much faster than advertisements. One of the greatest compliments a program can receive is when former players become its biggest ambassadors. When graduates return to practices simply to encourage the next generation. When alumni proudly wear the program's logo years after finishing their careers. When parents tell other families, this coach genuinely cares about young people. When assistant coaches recommend your program without being asked. When opposing coaches respect the way your team carries itself. Those moments cannot be purchased. They are earned, and they are earned through consistency. Now, let's talk about a group of people that I believe coaches often overlook volunteers. I have spent enough years in sport to know that behind every successful program are dozens of people whose name never appear in newspaper articles. The volunteers setting up chairs before an event, as a student manager arriving an hour early to prepare equipment, the parent organizing travel, the photographer documenting memories, scorekeeper, the stats person preparing meals during tournaments, the athletic therapist staying late after practice, the custodian unlocking the gym every morning. These people don't receive MVP awards, guys. Yet without them, many programs simply couldn't function. One of the greatest leadership mistakes a coach can make is treating volunteers like free labor. They're not free labor. They're partners in your mission. They have chosen to invest their time because they believe in something bigger than themselves. Never underestimate the power of appreciation. Learn people's names. Thank them personally. Celebrate their contributions publicly. Invite them into your vision. Help them understand that they are not helping the basketball team. They are helping shape young people's lives. When people feel valued, they become committed. And committed people become lifelong supporters. The same principle applies to donors. Sometimes coaches become uncomfortable talking about fundraising because they think asking for financial support is asking for charity. It isn't. Great donors are rarely investing in basketballs, uniforms, buses, or facilities. They are investing in purpose. They are investing in opportunities for young people. They are investing in education. They are investing in leadership. They are investing in a vision they believe deserves to grow. Your responsibility is not simply to ask for support. Your responsibility is to build something worthy of supporting. When people clearly understand your mission, they stop seeing themselves as donors. They begin seeing themselves as partners. That's a very different relationship. The same philosophy should extend throughout your entire university. One of the biggest mistakes athletic programs make is becoming isolated from campus life. The basketball team should never feel like a separate organization operating inside the university. It should become an active contributor to the university community. Support other athletic teams. Attend campus events. Celebrate academic achievements. Collaborate with professors. Invite faculty members to practices. Recognize student athletes who excel in the classroom. Work alongside admissions when welcoming prospective students. Partner with other departments for community initiatives. When your basketball program contributes to the life of the university instead of simply existing within it, people begin taking ownership of your success. The university stops saying, that's the basketball team's achievement. Instead, they begin saying, that's our achievement. The same is true beyond campus. A program should belong to its community, not just geographically, emotionally. Think about the most respected athletic programs you have ever seen. They're visible. Their players volunteer at schools. They read to children. They coach youth clinics. They visit hospitals. They support local charities. They attend community events. Why? Because great programs understand something very important. Communities support programs that first support their communities. If people only hear from your program when tickets are being sold or donations are needed, you have already missed countless opportunities to build meaningful relationships. Serve first, support follows. That leads naturally to another important responsibility, building a fan base. Many coaches assume fans appear after championships. Well, I don't believe that's true. Fans are built through connection. People become loyal because they feel included. Well, tell your players the stories. Introduce assistant coaches. Celebrate graduates. Recognize volunteers. Highlight academic success. Share community service. Invite young children to games. Create traditions. Create experiences. Help people feel that they belong. The strongest fan bases aren't built on winning seasons. They are built on emotional investment. When people feel connected to your mission, they continue showing up whether you're winning or rebuilding. Perhaps the most important quality of every great program is accessibility. Never become so important that people become afraid to approach you. Leadership should never create unnecessary distance. You have to smile. You have to learn names. You have to answer emails. You have to return phone calls. You have to return text messages. Listen carefully. Be present. The greatest compliment a coach can receive isn't that they're brilliant, it is that they're approachable. People don't remember every practice plan. They remember how you made them feel, right? And finally, I would like to leave you with one thought that has shaped the way I think about coaching. Too many coaches measure success by asking, did we win the championship? I think there's a better question here. If I left tomorrow, would this program continue becoming stronger? Because if the answer is yes, you have built something remarkable. If the answer is no, then perhaps you have built a successful team, but not yet a successful program. The greatest coaches don't build programs that depend on them. They build programs that prepare others to lead. Programs where assistant coaches become outstanding head coaches. Programs where former players become mentors. Programs where today's volunteers become tomorrow's donors. Programs where today's children become tomorrow's student athletes. Programs where the culture becomes so deeply rooted that even leadership changes cannot erase it. That's legacy. And legacy has never been measured by banners hanging in a gymnasium. It is measured by people, by relationships, by trust, by lives changed, by opportunities created, by communities strengthened. Championships are wonderful. Celebrate them, be proud of them, but never forget that championships are the result, not the purpose. The purpose is to build something that continues serving people long after the final buzzer sounds. Because before every championship, there's a program. And before every great program, there's a leader who chooses to build people before pursing trophies. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Beyond the Scoreboard. Remember, character is greater than talent. People are greater than performance, and relationships will always outlast results. I'll see you next time.